literature
Yes.
space in the country.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that? Because children rarely interact with that very, let's say, the history, not much.
I mean, I think children get a lot of that in school as well, right? And they have set books and they read African literature books as part of that.
Right.
And I kind of think there's a lot actually people get out of those set books that stays with them. I found someone who was quoting some Chinua Achebe and they said, oh, that used to be my set book. You know, it's amazing how much people remember and continue reading those authors, African authors who are celebrated African authors throughout their life. Ngugi wa Thiong'o, I mean, we have such strong literature, African literature writers. We have them, right? And I guess the question is, do we celebrate them enough? Do we shout out to them enough? Do we say, hey, these are our guys. Are you reading their stories?
Right.
Are you reading their content? You know, are we encouraging our children to read our African literature books?
Okay.
Yeah.
And perhaps what is the publishing of books? Is it tedious? Because I once interacted with a guy who was trying to publish a book.
Yeah.
And he had said the process was no mean feat. So what was your experience like?
So it's a process, right? It's been a whole learning journey for me. Because of course I started with the book, you start the writing and you've done, and when somebody says, this is good, we want to publish it, you're like, yes, my work is done. No, you're just starting. You know, by the time we started the illustrations, this first book especially, how does someone bring your idea to life? You know, it's a real creative, co-creative process, the illustrations. And then it's a very rigorous process.
Right.
And I think when you see something that has been published, I now appreciate what people go through. From the editing, from each line being scrutinized, from an editor's perspective, making sure it's grammatically correct, making sure the alignment is correct, the attention to detail that goes in the small details that you underestimate. That's where the time goes, you know. And I got an editor, a really good editor, to help me even just think through some parts of the story that they weren't quite sure about. Fantastic, you know. I really kind of appreciated that, sort of having that peer contribution to shape it into something that we were all really happy with.
Right.
And then there was the point of introducing Superlista to the market. So the one thing is in saying, oh, I want to target this age group, I want to bring something different to this age group. But then it's also introducing a new product to the market, right?
Very true.
Which came with its own different challenges. Right?
Right.
Where do you put it in the bookstore?